Are you looking for a job? That's great, because late last year, Bank Negara said there were more than 220,000 jobs up for grabs. Check this one out. Don't want lah, so hot, no aircon one. This one even worse, so far from my house. Please, people flew 3,000 kilometers from home for this position, okay? Not long ago, the government wanted to bring in another 1.5 million Bangladeshi workers into the country, and we went ballistic, like it's the first time we've seen so many of them. In fact, 2.2 million migrant workers are already among us, and that's not including the other 4.4 million that came in illegally. Add that up and it's a whopping 6.6 million people, enough to replace the Chinese as the second largest race in Malaysia. Now, if all of them get citizenship, form a party, and by some miracle, win the general election, our cabinet lineup would probably look like this. Migrant workers play an important role in nation building. After all, developed countries like the US and Australia are built by migrants too. Slavery. We enjoy the luxury of choice in terms of occupation, so the 3D jobs, dirty, dangerous, and demeaning, will naturally be the last thing to cross our mind. Just like how you selectively not notice the U-turn sign until your eyesight is subject to questioning. For decades, migrant workers are brought in to toil in the most unimaginable working conditions, just so you can play Minecraft while they lay real bricks. Yes, they can get a little too affectionate with each other sometimes, but that aside, they've been building skyscrapers, paving roads, and recently warming our ice. And to accuse them of taking over the country, that's actually wrong. Factually wrong. According to the Economic Planning Unit, Indonesians are the one that make up 40% of our foreign labour workforce, followed by 24% from Nepal, and then comes the Bangladeshi at over 14%. And by the way, we used to have a lot more Indonesians. Now, they'd rather go to pork-eating, non-halal, non-Malay speaking places like Hong Kong. How dare they? Anyway, 6.6 million people. Imagine a population size as big as Laos or Paraguay, ready to get their hands dirty, work harder than you, and work for cheaper. Does that mean we're screwed? Well, not at all. The World Bank did a study on the employment impact of foreign labour in Malaysia, and the results are quite the opposite. Study shows that for every 10 migrant workers in a given sector, 5.2 new jobs are created, simply because companies need unskilled labour to help expand their operations, which then create mid-skilled positions like managers and supervisors, who usually are locals. And unless locals are just as unskilled, by that I mean below secondary education level, all our wages will inch up by 0.14%. Speaking of which, we do actually have 14% of them in our workforce who can barely spell the word work. Guys, I suggest you do something about that, else you better be kicking ass at DDR, because Filipinos are gonna ace that job interview at Johnny Rockets. Look, sentiments aren't always logical. If we remove foreign labourers from the low-level jobs, would you be willing to send your own trash to the landfill twice a week? Never mind that, who's gonna wash your car? Our problem with migrant workers isn't the worker themselves per se, but it's the pent-up frustration towards an inefficient, poorly enforced and corrupted foreign labour policy. If 4.4 million of them can sneak in without papers, either a fairy godmother is stationed at the beach turning them into mice, or Malaysian border control actually looks like this. We can't blame them from trying now, can we? So here's what needs to be done. Immigration has to get their act together and clamp down on smuggling. And to be fair, if they're illegal, don't hire them. These people don't have proper papers, no official records, they're freaking invisible. That guy making a footlong every morning is probably running an underground firearm business at night. Who knows? Hardworking, well-behaved migrant workers are great for the country's development. Plus, Putrajaya gets an income from collecting levies. Don't just spend it on fancy roundabouts, use that money to upskill our people with training and better education system. I mean, at least we get them to spell the word work correctly, right? Just saying.